Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to this fabulous series called Ignite with Sandi. So, those of you who don't know what is Ignite with Sandi, this is a special webinar that I do every week on the Celestia platform. So, what's Celestia? Celestia is a platform for the empowerment of women. It's a work life balance platform where we talk about health, we talk about wellness, we talk about careers, we talk about relationships, about business, everything connected to a woman's life. And every week I have a very interesting guest that I bring on who shares her experiences, her expertise, and a lot more. So, you remember what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to tune in, you're supposed to like, and you're supposed to share. But I'll be reminding you about all of that in the Celestia channel once we finish with this fabulous interview that I have lined up for you today. So, how do I describe this lady? She's ambitious, she's beautiful, she's very career oriented, she's also very creative, and she is a very determined woman who always dreams big. And what I like about her is she's always full of energy and enthusiasm. And so now I would like to bring on my guest to introduce herself to you. So, Sania, welcome to Ignite with Sandy, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you for having me on the show. How are you today?
I'm fine and welcome, and thank you very much for joining us.
You're
So, tell
welcome.
us a bit about yourself.
I am the chairperson of Ansari Group Limited. We are in three countries: Pakistan, UAE, and Canada. Um, I I belong to Ansari family. We're the oldest tribe from Medina, Saudi Arabia. It's a 1400 years old tribe called Ansar, or Ansari means supporters, and we were the first supporters of Islam and Prophet peace be upon him. And we are from we are the one of the few families who are mentioned in the Holy Quran. So I belong to a very noble family. So I decided to support my family name Ansari and start working for myself. So in 2018, as one of my birthday presents, because every birthday I do something special for me, so I was like, why not start your own company? So I started Ansari Group. Before that, I was working with the royal families of UAE. So I have worked with I started with Al Hamid family. I was offered to work with them as a managing partner for North America in, I think that was 8 years ago. So I started with them. Then I worked with Nahyan family, then Maktoum family, Al Qasmi family, and a few other family offices. And I was like, you know what? It's time to start promoting your own family and work for yourself. So yeah.
All right. So, what do you do at present? Tell us briefly about the consulting and the investing part that you are now doing.
Okay, so the mandate for Ansari Group is to provide consulting services. It's a boutique consulting company, so we facilitate funding in financial aspects or in consulting or fundraise services. We work in two dimensions. One is that we work with private sector. We facilitate funding for them from, let's say, minimum $10 million to up to $2 to $3 billion. And then we have a few clients who are investors, and we facilitate, not facilitate, we find projects for them, governmental projects who have sovereign guarantee. So we work in two dimensions. We also collaborate with the royal families of UAE. So let's say any company, XYZ company, wants to enter into the lucrative markets of UAE. We work as a bridge between investors or the XYZ company and the royal family offices, or we work as a bridge between the investor and the client. So we provide full consulting services. So if they want to expand into UAE, so we provide everything for them from A to Z. Besides that, I think my biggest achievement or biggest client of the Ansari Group is UN Habitat. We are also working with UN Habitat to launch the SDG cities in 1,000 cities and to impact 1 billion lives.
Okay, wonderful. Because that was going to be my next question to you. What is your connection with UNGC and why is this actually so important to you?
Well, as you know, that I'm a humanitarian and an entrepreneur. So, for me, making money is not enough. I want to make sure while I'm making money, I'm also giving back and making an impact. So, for me, I was when I went to Brazil, I was introduced to the UN Habitats directors to work with them. This initiative was very new at that time. They had it wasn't launched back then. So I took my
Okay,
time to decide and study, but it's really good. So I'll explain a little bit. So
okay,
according to the UN, 2.5 billion people will be added into the urban populations. So to accommodate these people, the cities or the governments have to invest $4 trillion per year to accommodate these people in infrastructure. So what
okay,
and a lot of cities, the new development in the cities, they want to become smart cities, they want to become sustainable. So what UN is doing, UN wants to launch a SDG cities initiative, that sustainable development goals initiative, in 1000 cities and to impact 1 billion lives, and it's 192 countries. So what we're doing,
okay,
what UN is doing, they're partnering with the governments to make sure that uh, the 17 sustainable development goals are being implemented into the new infrastructure, and also there's no social, economic, or environmental gaps left behind. So what we are doing, we have an MOU with them to launch the initiative in 1,000 cities. We also bring projects in the pipeline. We have a city investment facility where cities and private sector can submit their projects. So we also introduce projects to the pipeline, and we also bring funding for them. So we wear
okay.
a lot of hats with UN.
Yeah. So I think it's a very noble thing because, as you said, making money is okay, but then what is there beyond that? And now, since you've chosen something which is so noble, it not only touches the lives of people who are directly connected to you, but you are able to bring about quality change in the lives of so many people around the planet. So I think it's an amazing initiative, and I'm so happy to know that you are quite involved in it, and I think in a pretty big way. So now, my next question to you, Sania, is that on your LinkedIn profile and whatever, I noticed that you have this title, Her Excellency, and you also have Dr. Sania.
Okay.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you got this title, Her Excellency, number one, and number two, about the doctorate? Because I think it's a pretty interesting piece of information.
Okay, so well, again, when I turned 27, I was like, I should do something, something which, because I have helped a lot of people in my entire life. You can say since I was in grade one. So if someone tells me their problems, I feel obligated to help them. Like for
Okay.
example, if I go to hospitals, I cannot go because if I see someone sick, I pass out.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, so when I was 27, I thought, why don't I get myself a title and more respect and something which recognizes my efforts? And so I joined an NGO called United Refugee Green Council, which works with refugees. And that's the first organization that gave me a title, Her Excellency, because I saw other ambassadors and I'm like, oh, like this, it seems like they're doing a lot of good work. And then I was approached by International Human Rights Commission and a lot of other NGOs. So, that's how it started. And that's how I got my title. Because if you're doing an honorary work and you're an ambassador for these NGOs and you're volunteering, and usually the International Human Rights Commission, they have mandate from a lot of countries and they hold diplomatic status. I also have my diplomatic ID from the UN, sorry, not UN, the European Union, through International Human Rights Commission. So I'm kind of half diplomat. I don't mention that. So yeah, so that's how the story started with the Her Excellency. And right now, I support at least 8 to 9 NGOs. And before COVID, I was really active. I was the only person who was always there, regardless of which country, which events, wherever it is. I was like, I have to be there. I have to support them. So that's how
Yeah.
her residency happened.
Okay.
Um,
What about the doctorate? How did you get that?
Well, doctorate, there. So there, the European University from Paris, France, they had a few options. So they were like, you can either write your thesis and get your degree, or you can submit your credentials, the work credentials, and you can get the doctorate certificate. That's for professionals only. So I was like, you know what? I've been doing a lot of work and I have done a lot of humanitarian work as well. So I think I deserve the doctorate because I feel I'm not boasting about me, but I think I deserve to get that honorary doctorate. So yeah, that's how it came. It's a certificate, but I think in near future I will also write a thesis and also get the full degree, the full doctorate, PhD.
Yeah, I think you should do that because number one, you have so much personal experience over a period of time because you started very young. And so the amount of experience that you've accumulated from different projects, with interacting with different people, different nationalities, all kinds of things, it has already given you a wealth of knowledge, which now you need to put into the thesis to get your doctorate. But you know what? Right now you're in a very high position where you make decisions, where you have the power to do so many things. But I would like to take you back in time, and I want you to tell us a little bit about how you started out, because from our conversations you told me that you were very interested in fashion. And of course, you're very fashionably dressed, so you haven't really lost that. But give us a little peep into the fashion part of you when you were younger.
For sure. So I've been working since I was 12 years old in grade six. Even before that, I used to design clothes for my dolls, make jewelry from beads. I was very hands on. I was always doing something. And I knew that I wanted to be a fashion designer. I had a few Barbie dolls. I used to, whatever I saw on TV, regardless of it's a dress, shalwar kameez, blazer, langa, sari, whatever you see on TV, Western or Eastern, I would sew it for my dolls. Sorry. I would make it, I'm so sorry. I would sew it for my dolls, and that's how it started. And then when I was in grade six, I started designing clothes. I would draw them, and we were in Pakistan at that time. We had a lot of ladies who came to our house, and my mother used to get those her clothes made from them. You know, those handmade embroidery, and
Yeah,
each
yeah.
takes from 2 months to 6 months. And sometimes you have to send them to, like, really in other province, and it takes they ask you for almost like 6 months to a year's time. So these pieces were really unique piece of art. You don't see a lot of them nowadays. So since they already came to our house, so I used to tell my mom, like, I designed this, can you get me this fabric? And then those ladies used to make it. So it's like a long process. And when my dresses came, and when I wore them, used to wear them, a lot of my friends liked them because you cannot find them anywhere in boutiques or anywhere. So they asked me, oh, can you please design these for us? Can we please buy them from you? So that's when I started working, not as a, I won't call myself a designer, but that's how it started. I started making money. I was like, you know what, it's a good business. It pays for my dress, for her dress, and then I have a lot of profit. So I was happy.
So basically, you were quite the businesswoman without really knowing it. And then when you were in Canada, you started doing things in finance. So can you share what you did in that?
So when we moved to Toronto, I was 17 years old, and I also went to high school. high school and fashion college for a year and a half, and I wanted to become a fashion designer. And even before that, I went to school for a lot of things. I studied makeup artistry. I am certified makeup artist. Then I got certification in personal training. Then went to fashion year and a half, and then while I was in fashion school, my grades were really good, and I was also working at the bank. So for most people, they work at the bank once they are graduated and they have their a proper degree. And I was already working at the bank, and I was doing quite well as a part timer. So my manager, I still remember her, Catherine. She treated me like her daughter because I was the youngest one in the bank, and I was also in school, and I was really smart and doing really well. So she used to print out my reports for the week, work performance for the week, and she used to post it all over the staff room, and she used to tell the full timers, if Sania can do that, you can also do that. She is a lot younger than all of you. So then one day I decided, you know what? I can be a fashion designer. I don't need a degree for that. So why don't I go to business school into finance so I can make money? Because of course I want to make money, and I cannot sit at home and then sewing clothes all day. I was like, no, you have to be smart about it. So once you know how to start a business, how to run a business, you can always hire people to do that. So I changed from fashion to finance, and it was easier for me because my marks were all in like A plus, like marks were in 90s. So because of that, they just transferred me right away. But usually to go into a finance program, you have to have these prereq from your high school. But for me, I only took fashion all throughout my high school and before that. So yeah, that's how finance happened.
So was it very difficult when you made the change? Because, or you found it very easy because you're very good with numbers?
Oh, I love numbers. I love numbers. Actually, all the women in my family, my cousins, my sister, they all really good with numbers.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that was good. So, what did you learn actually from the fashion side and the finance side, the banking side? What were the practical things that you learned from both?
well, fashion was good. I mean, as you can see, I love dressing up. I still design my clothes. So even now, when I go to, let's say, Pakistan or UAE, I go to a fabric market, I buy like 15, 20 fabrics at a time, and then I design them. So a lot of my kaftans and my long dresses and a lot of things are designed by me. And I usually, from time to time, I design kaftans, and I usually give presents to my friends. And every time I go to Canada, instead of getting other presents, I get kaftans and dresses for my sister and my sister-in-laws. So I'm still doing that, but for myself. And
Okay. So,
I'm
something when we were having a conversation, you mentioned something about financial planning. Now, you know very well that I'm very much into financial planning and finances and all of that. So, you also mentioned to me that whatever you had learned there, the basics of that were very important when you started out on your journey for investments and other things because it had given you a good grounding of
right.
how to plan, how to do things. So, for our audience, I'd like you to share that part because I think it's very essential when we are running a business or even managing our own finances about having the basics in place, which is what you learned and what you apply. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so first thing, so after I worked for a bank for I think 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, my first real job, which was like in a corporate world, was one of the financial brokerages in downtown Toronto, and where I was a financial planner, and I was also licensed broker for insurance and for mutual funds. So I have done that as well. But I think for running a business, that's not something that taught me about my finances, because I spend a lot of money. I'm a shopaholic. So until, I'm really like, I squeeze myself, then I'm like, you need to like relax now. So I think the financial planning part really helped me with that. And also to it helped me now in my consulting services as well. But that's just the numbers and financial part. But I think because even in Canada, my first job started when I went to Canada. I also started working, so I went step by step, just like any beginner. I have worked. I was in high school, and I always had jobs. I worked in a lot of retails, a lot of busy areas as well. So I think once you work in retail and sales, you meet so many people. That's where you learn how to be street smart. That's how you learn human psychology, how to read people. Even interestingly, and even for sales, when I did sales, I never sold anything. It's more like, when someone came, I educated them, like, this is so nice, like this, I have this, and so you just tell a story and people just buy from you. So that's more like a reverse psychology, and it's been working since then. And I think if I was just given a position of a chairperson or working with the royal family, as a, working the position I hold now, I don't think I would be successful. I won't think I would be able to do that. So all of this you see now, it's a really hard work, and it's been a long journey. So let's say since 12 years old, since now it's been a long time.
Okay, so
And putting
talking about you, you've been really working since high school and before that. So what about enjoyment and relaxing and all of that? Most people in that age group are more interested in socializing and going out and all of that. So is that something that you were interested in doing, or you were more focused on you found other things, for example, finance and banking and all of those things more interesting? Did you really have time to enjoy yourself as a teenager
Oh,
in,
definitely,
in
I did.
Toronto?
Yes, of course I did. I was a social butterfly. I had a lot of friends, Even when I was young, I was friends with everyone. So throughout my life, I have too many friends, and I love socializing. I love sports. So yeah, I had plenty of time to also, focus on myself and my hobbies. I love learning new things. When I was young, I used to read a lot. I would read anything. I've read books on anything and everything. I was a bookworm, but I had time also to enjoy myself. For example, when I was in Toronto recently, I was doing archery, because it did help me with focus. I would go twice a week, and I'm also very adventurous. Anything that gives me adrenaline rush, I would do that, or anything that scares me, I want to do that. Like I also almost got my private pilot license, because I was like, you know what, if you have a plane, you can go anywhere and everywhere, like short distances. And then I moved to Dubai, and that's still like halfway done. But
Okay.
in the near future, I'll finish that. But usually I do skydiving, parasailing, paragliding, anything that's fun. I'm down for that. So it's not just work. I'm an all rounder.
That's nice. You know what? There's one thing that you mentioned to me is you have the ability to read a person way beyond what they are actually projecting. And this has worked for you very well, of course, when it's a business, but it's also you have been able to help a lot of people because you've been able to give them advice on something that they could not see. So, can you share something about your special ability in that?
Well, it's been a secret, but I think I'll share that. Usually, I play like a normal person. I don't tell people that how smart I am. People think, oh, she's boasting and whatever. But if I go to, let's say, if I come to your house, and I just know you, and I don't know any of your family members. You have your whole family. Within that 1 hour or 2 hours, I will know exactly who is doing what, like the whole story. I would know the whole everyone. It's like a police detective. When they enter a house, they know what's going on. So I would even be able to tell you if this Versace glass is yours or it's a gift from someone. So
Oh, so
no,
so this, yeah, this is a gift, and you use it very wisely. But on the other side of the coin, do you sometimes find that because you have this ability, that sometimes it could be having a negative effect on you?
you see, uh, yeah, because um, for me, I also read people's energy. So if someone passes by me, it's like a combination of a lot of things. It's a human psychology, reading their energies and auras, the way the body language and all. So if someone passes by me, I can tell like what's going on with that person. So a lot of time, even in my past, friends would show me, oh, can you look at this guy? And I'm like, this guy is like this. And then they're like, no, Sania, you're just joking. And a week or 2 weeks later, they would come back and they're like, you were right. This guy is like this, or this person is like this. So for me, I read between lines. So if we're having a conversation, I would obviously listen to you, but I can learn about people right away. And sometimes it's really difficult, especially if with your friends and family and relationships, because you know that the person is lying. You exactly know what's going on, but you have to play, I won't say dumb, but you have to play like, just go with it. Like you have to pretend sometimes like it's okay, I'll buy your story, whatever you're saying is fine. But I know exactly what's going on.
What's going on? Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, you've packed so much into your young life. So, where do you see yourself, let's say, 10 years from now?
Um, well, 10 years, of course, I want to focus on my marriage now. I want to get married because until I was 30, 31, I was not ready for marriage. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time getting married and having kids. And women can do a lot more than just, like be a housewife or have kids and raise them. So then I decided to get married, and then COVID started, and then we lost few years. So I think now I'm at a good stable stage where I think I'm ready to get married. So of course, get married, have two kids. Also, because my vision for Ansari Group and for myself on the humanitarian ground with the UN and also with my other projects is to work on a global scale. So at least to work with, let's say if it's 10 years, at least work with 30 or to 50 countries in next 10 years, and hopefully if I can, maybe become a billionaire. Like I have a game plan. If it works, 10 years is a long time. If it works, it does. I recently made a plan. I'm like, okay, so this many projects, this many countries, this much money. And then it's not the conservative plan, so it's a long time. So I was like, we can give a try, because if you have a vision, you have a goal, that's how you plan and that's how you work towards it. So I was like,
Exactly.
I think,
I, I agree with you 100% that having a vision and a goal and then breaking it down into small parts, like you just said, everything is achievable. So, to many people, the numbers that you are talking about would seem like impossible. Oh, that's a big dream. Oh, that's too ambitious. But it's not, because it's what you want. It's not what other people want. So I think one of the messages that I'm getting from you is, if it is your dream, it is your goal, it is your ambition, you must go for it, irrespective of what other people say. Is that correct?
yes, because I'm very extremely ambitious. I never ever give up. Sometimes it's bad to be so stubborn, but I think, if you have kids and you see they're stubborn, I see that as a quality, because I know when she or he grows up, he or she is going to be a great leader. So for me, I always find another way. So if plan A doesn't work, go for plan B, go for plan C. So for me, you can change the route, but the destination has to be same. So
Yes,
for me, never give up, regardless of what happens. If it doesn't work out today, I know down the road this will work out. So always, and I don't ever take no for an answer. In some cases, yes, but mostly I'm like, there's always a solution. Like every problem comes with a solution.
quite true, very true. So, what I'd like you, Sania, to, because there are a lot of young women there, even older women who get discouraged or get disheartened. So, what is your advice to women or girls on number one, education? Is
Okay.
how important is it for them to get an education? It doesn't matter whether they get it earlier in life or later. How important is education?
For me, no, I would say education is crucial, but for me, education comes in different forms. First thing, the formal education, which is you go to normal schools and get your credentials and graduate from them. That's really important. But also, there's other kind of education. So like for me, uh, I learn one thing from each person. So if you, for example, I shouldn't share this, but long time ago, when I was really young, when I was working at a financial brokerage, someone said, we work with only decision makers and entrepreneurs, and so it saves time. I was like, that sounds good, so I'm gonna implement into my strategy as well. So I learned something, or I adapted something. So whoever I meet, I learn something and I adopt it. So there's a lot of pieces in my education. Informal education came from different people, because I don't just sit there and then waste time. I'm like, okay, so I met Sandy today, I'm going to learn something positive from Sandy and apply it in my life. And the third one, I think it's travel. You have to travel. So you're not living inside a box, you're traveling. You're all when you travel other countries, your perspective changes. You realize that you're not just yourself. There's a whole universe to explore and ponder upon. And of course you learn from other cultures. And yeah, so for me, any sort of education is important. And I think the last one is to be street smart.
Yes,
Have your
actually, that's very important to be street smart. So, what is your advice? Because a lot of times when girls are growing up, they are not very career oriented. Okay, some of them, yeah, are, they take on special degrees or whatever because they want to pursue a career in a certain direction. But many of the girls and women who are now at a loss because they don't seem to have what we call a career. So what are your thoughts on that, and what advice would you give to women, for example, who are uh, 35 plus, and now
to
they suddenly realize that, ooh, I need to do something, but what? Because I just studied this at university. So a lot of people use this word career in that you have to follow a certain path and you go ahead in that path and you achieve something. But I don't think that's applicable now, especially with the young people. So what are your thoughts on a career for women?
Well, to be honest, I've seen that firsthand happened in my family. Like, for example, my sister or my cousins, like my sister, she did her accounting in honors and also financial services in honors in Canada and from UK. And a lot of my cousins also really good with maths, and they got their they graduated, got their degrees in like dentistry or medical or finance or whatever they could. But they don't have, or a lot of women, because they're comfortable financially, they don't feel the need to have to work, because it's not easy to work. Like I have struggled all my life to be someone, to become someone, because I was like, I'm not okay for someone to say, oh, that's Sania, this person's wife. I'm like, no, people need to know this is Sania Ansari, who she is. So I wanted to have my
Your
own
own identity.
on my own identity, people to know me by who I am, not to say she's daughter of this, she's mother of this, or she's wife of this. So for me, I was not okay with that. I was like, yeah, it's not just about money, it's lifestyle, this is what I want. So I think every women have different goals. So as you know, only 2% of women hold the executive positions in any business or in any country. And this is not just for UAE, this is also the ratio or the number 2% is same for the US and Canada. So if you talk about uh, these ratios, only 2%, because once a women becomes goes up to a managerial position, or she's making good money, and she's a mother too at that time. So her focus, I think it's very normal for a woman, once she's a mother, her main focus is her kids and the family. That's the reason they don't have that hunger to like reach the top and to make more money, and then become the part of the 2% of executive lead. So
Yeah.
I don't know how we can change the mindset. It's either that hunger to thrive is either in you or it's not.
Yeah,
Especially
that
if
is
you
true.
need money, then you're like, you know what, let me just enjoy my life and travel and shopping and just relax. Why do I need to go and wake up early and then go to work?
Yeah, some ladies, of course, they do work and they work very hard and they balance their work and their home life, because sometimes there is a necessity for them to work. So that together as a couple, as a family, they can enjoy a better lifestyle and send their children to better schools. So there are lots of women who do focus on that. But from what I have seen and what you're saying, it's like it's secondary to the husband. So
Right.
they can take a back seat when they want, because they know that most of the stuff is being covered by the spouse.
Um,
And I think there should be a change in the way women look at themselves and their careers and their financial independence. I think
well,
that's an important thing.
you know what? I'm going to add something. I used to think like now my perspective is different, because I know that a mother who has 3 kids has so much responsibility, and a guy who's working, the father who's working maybe 8 to 10 hours, his life is a lot easier than the mother's life, because she has to take care of 3 kids, especially when you're living in North America and Europe. You don't have the same luxurious life you have in UAE. So I think these women are also working hard. Being a mother is also a full-time job, but unfortunately, we don't pay them. They don't get paid. I think they should also get paid and get recognized.
Yeah. So now, Sanya, we've been talking about different things, challenges and ambitions and moving forward and doing community service, helping others, uplifting others. So, when we are going to conclude, what I'd like to hear from you, what kind of advice would you give women to, number one, handle rejection? How should women handle rejection?
Um, Well, there are certain things, if you get rejected, you should move on. But I think for when it comes to your dignity, your goals, your career, your ambitions, and who you are as a human being, you should never ever compromise, and you should never take rejection. You should find a way to overcome that, and you should fight for yourself. Um, so I know we're talking about this, but there's something else which has been, going around in my mind, and I really want to address that. Okay, so in business world, so this is, I can say, this is also a gossip. A lot of people won't talk about it, but I would say that you should avoid gossiping about other people, because I have noticed it's the financial world is very cutthroat and it's very challenging, and a lot of people, like, it's happened to me that people for like so many years. They're going on and on and on, and it's nothing personal. It's like, do not work with her, work with me, I'm better than her. And like they gossip a lot. So a lot of people do not understand that if you're smart. So for me, if someone during a business meeting comes to me and starts gossiping about other people, I cut them off right away. I tell them to, if you want to focus on yourself and the project we're dealing with. We have so much to talk about. Why do you want to talk about other people? Because I feel if this person is talking about another person in front of me, so by the time we finish our meeting, he will also talk about me to someone else. So I think people need to stop having such practice. I don't even work with the people who come to me and then all they want to do is gossip. Like, we're not women. I mean, yeah, me and you are women, but in the if you want to be professional, I think you need to cut the gossip from your life. And I have a lot of people who came to me and they're like, this person is saying this about you, this person is saying that about you. And I feel sorry for them. I'm like, okay, if I give you a reason to, if I'm part of your life and your conversations, which means I'm doing something right, I'm important. So have fun. I mean, good luck.
Quite true. And now the other word, first of course, was rejection, and now the other big word, which is plays on many people's minds, is failure. So it's I failed to do this, or a kid failed, and the grades are not good, or he went in for a project, but that project was not successful. So this tag of failure, it's very disempowering. It's very negative. So what is your advice for people who use this word or feel that they're a failure?
Well, I've been there many times, but it depends on how you handle that. Because when you are young and you're learning the business and you're new in the business, like when you just jumped in the shark tank and you're still learning to, save yourself from the other sharks and learning to become a shark and learning to swim, you'll have a lot of failures and you'll have a lot of sharks attacking you. So, you'll cry many nights, you'll be disheartened, but then slowly you build an appetite, or your stomach becomes stronger. And so for me, if a project doesn't go through, or if something bothers me, or someone, I find out this person is saying, like, wrote a long essay about me, negative essay, and he's going around. It used to hurt me. It doesn't anymore. But I used to do, if I'm sad or upset or I'm having facing a failure or setback, I just go to sleep early. I pretend like if I take a nap or if I sleep and I wake up, it's gonna disappear. It doesn't, but something in your mind will disappear because you can train your mind. So when you wake up, you're like, okay, that's past. There's nothing you can do about it. So why don't we, it's a new day, let's start something new, and you focus on something new. So, and then your failures are also a life lesson for you, so you learn something from the failure and next day you start something new. And for me, I have the ability to pull myself out of any like if I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having anything, any failure or anything which is not good for me. I can heal myself, and I think it takes time
Yeah,
to
but you can work on it, right?
yeah. So that's why I said, like, in the beginning it's
Hmm.
going, you'll feel that way, but these failures, they will make you stronger.
Yes.
These failures.
It's a way how you look at it. What is your perception, irrespective of what other people say? So, next is challenges. You hear this word all the time. Oh, this is a challenge. You have to face this challenge. Apparently, life is supposed to be full of challenges. So, do you think that's really true, or is it your people's perception of an issue which they consider a challenge, but it's not actually a challenge?
Actually, I feel anything that you don't know or you don't learn is a challenge. Let's say when you don't know how to drive, it's challenging, it's difficult, and you're like, oh my god, how am I gonna drive? So once you learn how to drive, it's not a challenge anymore. So I think in life, Whatever scares you or whatever challenges you have, try to overcome that fear, overcome that challenge. And for me, I think since I was young, if someone tells me you cannot do this, this is not for you, you should never try it, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go try this first and see how this is. Because like, something might be a challenge for another person, and you cannot say, if you don't like it, I'm gonna listen to you and say I'm also not gonna like it. So I have to try it and see if I like it or not, if it's challenging for me or not. So yeah,
Very true. So
over.
challenge is important, right?
I think challenges and setbacks and failures in general are important, because how are you going to become strong then if everything is like all green, the grass is all green and everything is nice and mushy? How are you going to become strong? Because you have to see the good and bad, experience good and bad. That's how you become a strong human being.
Quite true, quite true.
You
And
don't
now,
hurt it your
Sania,
failure.
what people everybody talks about success. Success is the buzzword. You're successful. This success, that success. Celebrate success, whatever. And some people get quite high, or should I say, drunk on success. So, what is your take on success?
Success. Hmm. Well, to be honest, let's say when if I receive any award or a new project or do something nice, I maybe get excited for a day or two, and then I'm just same human being. I don't feel any difference. So for me, it's like once you achieve this, then I would stay here for a day, celebrate that, be happy about it. Next day, I'm like, what's next now? So I have to like come here, then come here. So for me, I don't think there's a benchmark or a scale for success. Success, you measure your own scale. You decide what's the benchmark. For some people, if you reach here, that's success for you. For some people, you reach higher, that's success for you. So this is your personal thing. For me, it's very personal. So I have to see how I am doing today as comparable to how I was doing yesterday. So I won't compare to anyone how they are doing, because everyone has a different journey, everyone have different goals, everyone is different and unique. So for me, I can, I won't say compete myself with myself, but for me, I don't know. I don't think I'm successful. I think I'm doing. I don't think I will ever feel I'm successful. I will always like keep setting the goals higher and higher and keep, increasing the bar. It's just that I enjoy what I do. It's a nice journey. So that's more important for me. So for me, destination is not important. The journey has to be exciting.
Exactly, exactly. And on that very lovely note about making your journey exciting, because you are in charge of your life, you are in charge of your journey, where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to do it. Basically, all boils down to you. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. So recently, I I had this conversation with someone about, like, we don't realize that we're all gonna die one day. So I asked someone about a psychic, like, how long do I have? So he said, this many years, and something around that. I was really sad. I'm like, even if it's like 30, 40, 50 years, that's like time's passing by so fast. So I was like, I cried all night. I was so upset that I'm gonna die. Everything will be left behind. And then that day, I put it in my calendar, like, this is how old I am, this is how much time I have. And I want to make sure in those, even though the psychic is like, it's just an assumption, it made me realize that I'm going to die one day and we're all going to die. And I was looking at other people, like some people, uh, are so devious that they don't realize they have to die one day, and they're fighting and they're living the life like they're here for like 1,000 year or thousands of year, or they're like here for eternity. So for me, this was a big realization. I was like, okay, so every year I want to make sure now that every moment counts and I decide how I want to live my life. regardless if it's family, it's work, my career, my friends, me, my humanitarian work, who I am. So yeah, so
Yeah. So that I think is a wonderful conclusion, Sania, and I thank you very much because what I've heard from you today is, and this is for everybody listening, you are in charge of your life.
yes, you are definitely
You are the one who will decide to enjoy it or not enjoy it, make it a success or not a success, move on or stay where you are. Ultimately, each one of us is responsible for where we are today and where we will be in the future. Is that
right.
correct?
Yes,
Correct?
and the last thing is uh, discipline is very important, and I feel that only you as a person can discipline yourself. No one can change you, no one can discipline you. So if you want to, wherever you are, you can still, if you have goals and visions or mission, you can still start from today, and you can discipline yourself. And honestly, nothing is impossible.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Sanya, for sharing all these lovely nuggets. I'm sure all of us who've been listening to you and will be listening to you in the future when they watch you on Celestial YouTube channel, they are going to get a lot of guidance and a lot of encouragement from what you said. So,
Thank
with
you.
that, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to an end this episode of Ignite with Sandy. Please
Maybe
do remember, please do remember to uh, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you will find this fabulous interview. And we look forward to your comments and for you to share this message in your groups because there's a lot of lovely stuff that Sanya shared with us today. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, the Celestia channel, and of course, we're on YouTube. So till next week, where we meet again, and I will be interviewing another very inspiring young person, young lady. It's goodbye from me and Celestia. Take care and God bless.